Hey, are you someone who has a podcast, maybe a YouTube channel, maybe you have some offers, some events that you are holding or virtual, in person? Maybe you're trying to look for some PR, some more branding exposure for yourself, and you're doing outreach. You're trying to get connected to a whole bunch of people out there that you know can probably help further all this stuff, your brand, grow your community, your business. And it's just not working. Well, there's a different approach, and it's an inbound approach that's allowed me to get connected to the biggest names in the marketing industry, entrepreneurship, and now in the author space, the expert space. And it's a strategy that's very simple, and it's one I'll line out here. I've shared it with a bunch of friends, clients, partners, and it works. It's called the Dream 100 Strategy. I'm going to break it all down in this episode. So let's get into it right now. Hey, I'm Joe Fier, and welcome to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. This is where we talk all about building businesses so they give you the freedom and fuel for your life. I'm not here to help you build $1 billion business, but I am here to help you create a business with systems that work for you so you can make more money than you need just by working part-time. You know, I was a chronic hustle mode kind of guy, and I want to share my experiences and mentors I've met along the way to help you reframe things to be the most effective as an entrepreneur. I wish I had this guidance and insight when I was younger, so that's what I'm doing here for you. Please share and enjoy. Hey, what's happening? You know it. We all know it. 2023 is almost gone. Poof. 2024 is coming around the corner, but we still have Q4 to make the most of it. So that's why the new HubSpot Sales Hub is here to help you and your team. And it's pretty epic. So this thing helps you along the whole customer journey. It ties everybody on your team together, your workflows, your operations, making sure no one's missing anything so you can deliver a better experience, a thing to your customers, but also get more revenue for your business. Let's close out the year strong. This is going to help you do it. So they also have a new conversational AI-powered platform called ChatSpot. This thing is going to help you basically be your assistant to craft emails, different copy that you want to write, outline posts, and so many other ways and things that would take up hours of your time. Well, times have changed. You don't have to do that anymore. This thing also has 1,400 integrations, which I'm sure it's going to work in your business. So tons of features, ways to get creative in how to use this. So right now, at the end of this year, we want to make sure that you're making the most of it. So go make the switch to HubSpot Sales Hub over at HubSpot.com/sales. All right, so this approach, I'm excited to finally share. It's something I've been using for probably 4 or 5 years. Started back when Matt and I were doing the show, and we kind of stumbled into it. And it started, so the big thing here is this flip of outbound and inbound. And I never really wanted to do a whole bunch of outreaching, even though I have, and it can work, but it can be a grind, like I was saying. And I'm sure you've thought about it, or at least you've tried it, and you probably felt the same. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I get probably 10 emails every single day of people wanting to be on this podcast or collaborate in some way. I can't read them all. And I don't think anyone else can. Even if you have an EA or assistants or someone else on your team doing this, they're likely, it's not their best use of time, or they don't know if that's a good fit or not. So in my mind, I thought about this. I'm like, why don't we flip the script and go inbound instead of that whole pushing thing? We're going to do more of a pull strategy. And I thought of the Dream 100 concept. It's actually originally a Chet Holmes concept that I tweaked for this. And the whole point here is it started, actually, I'm just going to say, a friend of mine basically said, hey, I can make some introductions to people in my network if you just give me a list of names that you'd love to get connected with. And I was like, sure. I listed out 20 names and I put it in a Google Sheet. And then I noticed that when I attached this Google Sheet to an email, and I was using G Suite or Google Workspace, Google-based email, and sent the email to this person, it put this little preview attachment at the bottom of the email. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't actually put an attachment here. What's up with that? But it did it anyway. And I sent it, and I didn't think a lot about it. But then he really quickly introduced me to like 20 people. And that a lot of those names became guests on my podcast. And it was from that little approach, but it kind of put a little thing in my brain is like, wait, there's something here. And when I say these weren't just like little names that were introduced to the podcast, they were like big names. And these weren't the exact names, but this strategy in general has attracted people like Dr. Robert Cialdini on this podcast, godfather of influence and persuasion. Justin Kahn, he's the co-founder of Twitch, and they sold to Amazon, and now he went off to do some other cool stuff. Pat Flynn brought him in as a kind of reintroduction, and again, these are inbound connections. He's a great podcaster. JJ Virgin, she's big in the health space, been on TV. David Allen, he's author of Getting Things Done. He ran for president too. Jay Abraham, another godfather, a godfather of marketing, and BJ Fogg, Dr. BJ Fogg, behavioral scientist, author of Tiny Habits. These all came through inbound approaches in this Dream 100 strategy. So before I tell you more about the strategy, I kind of gave you a little hint there with listing the names and stuff, is this strategy basically is a way to get inbound introductions, which is always stronger than you asking or pushing, So if you have someone giving you a warm introduction, let's be honest, you're already on a better foot forward. You are introduced usually in a pretty cool way, nicely by your friend or someone that knows you, and they're genuinely looking to help you. So then that person on the other end feels pretty good to be introduced by someone. You're like, oh, wow, I was thought of, and now you're connected. You get that introduction, and now you're already rolling. You're like, so let's say that introduction leads to they're a guest on your podcast. That's usually the case for me. But again, this can be kind of any introduction, any way that you can give value. Now, the way I look at it is I have a virtual stage. I think I've talked about it in some previous episodes, but this podcast and other podcasts out there, or even virtual summits and events, anything like that, even a Facebook group, Slack group, Discord group. These are all virtual stages, and you have the ability to bring people onto your stage. That's attractive. Other people, doesn't matter how big they are, if they're the president all the way down to someone who's just breaking out, like they want media exposure. We're all brands. And because we're all brands, we have following, we have audience, people that pay attention to what we're doing. Could be even friends and family if we're starting. That's how some of this stuff starts, and that's okay. But we're brands at the end of the day. I mean, even kids now in school, for better or for worse, and in like high school, middle school, have Instagram accounts, and they're creating their own brands for whatever reason. But the point is, we all have brands. So thinking this, you have a virtual stage. If you have a podcast, good on you. If you don't, then talk to me. Just go, reach out and check out what we're doing, because I'll just give a shout out. hustleandflowchart.com/accelerator will get you to what's going on. If it's not available right now, then you'll see a way to sign up or something. But hustleandflowchart.com/accelerator. Point is, if you have a podcast, you have a virtual stage, and you have the ability now to attract anyone you want if you're doing this deliberately with intention. And that's exactly what this Dream 100 strategy does, is that you get the attention of anyone you want. There's a way to automate this, because now you have this kind of borrowed influence, authority, back to, influence and persuasion. If you're getting these bigger names, then that's probably going to help your brand, especially if you're doing good on your marketing and wrapping it into everything you're doing. At the end of the day, you're also getting the attention of the audience that they have attached to them. That's the bigger piece. And this is what I like to look into, is when you know who your perfect avatar is, your perfect person that you want to bring into your audience, that you want to check out your content, to join your email list, join your Facebook groups or whatever group, you're also buy your products. Who is that person? If you can picture that person in your mind, well, realize that those people are out there, and there's also these other bigger names that might have them as an audience or do. And you can do your own research, independent research. Who are those people? Well, guess what? You could put them on a list. So let's put them on a list. And this is what I would suggest to do, is you make a list of 100 people. Could be 50 people, but go crazy. Go do 100 people. And if you have that target avatar in mind, who's the person that really wants to hear the thing you're putting out into the world? What are you doing to educate, entertain, inspire? these are the folks that you want to have. And so picture that person in your mind, and then also think about who's already got these people. So it's all about borrowing. It's starting from scratch and trying to grind and do it yourself and hope that they'll find you is a very tough strategy, and it kind of sucks, to be honest. So let's go find the people who have your people, or the people that are like your people, and find out who they are. So make a list of these people, and on a Google Sheet, this is very specific, whip out a Google Sheet and list those names. And obviously, maybe use some tools like Google's great, but figure out who are the influence in your space, the celebrities, the credible people, the authors, the experts, thought leaders who are in your space that have your type of avatar. And go to Amazon, go to perplexity.ai, go to ChatGPT. I mean, you could start plugging in all the different brands and people and the type of qualities of your perfect avatar, and you'll start getting examples of who are the brands, who are the people that I could put on this list. Now, what I like to do is I do love to reach for the moon, put the Elons on there, put all the celebrities on there. Maybe 20-30% are those names. And then the other names are people who are more 2 degrees of separation from you. And if you list out about 100 people on that list, now you're starting to play with some a pretty cool group of people that can really change things for you in your business. Big announcement here. The Hustle and Flowchart podcast is now the newest podcast on the HubSpot podcast network. They're the audio destination for business professionals. It's exactly why I joined the network, to expand what we've been doing here. Making business the fuel for your life, not the stressor or the burnout. We want to build fun and make business a big part of who we are and our expression out to others. So you're going to expect a lot more curated guests and that sync up with this mission. Also, more topics and episodes from me. And I want you to keep listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. Go check out other shows on the HubSpot Podcast Network at hubspot.com/podcast network. So once you have those lists of people on your Google Sheet specifically, and I'm saying all this with Google Sheet because it's exactly what my first example when I got all those introductions. Again, I was using a Google-based email. So if you're using a Google-based email, I say that because most people are. If you aren't, well, strategy is not as effective, but it can be if you're using one. And then going to the point of now, let's put them on a list and start sharing it. So what I would do is plug that into your email signature. You can start sharing it with people, but if you plug in your email signature, this is the secret sauce, is now in the first email that you send to anyone. And I'm talking anyone, your accountant, your neighbor, whoever. Someone knows other people, and they will start seeing this list. This list now, that first email, will put an attachment to the bottom of that email because it's in your signature. And what do you know? People are going to start seeing this list and seeing why you want to get connected. You can put a little description on top. And if you want to see mine, go to hustleandflowchart.com/dream100. And you can even copy that sheet if you want. Just don't copy the names. And now you have a very intentional group of people here with a little description of why you would, who these people are and why you'd love to get connected. You're going to start getting introductions out of nowhere because you're just sending emails, because this list pops up and it says something like, hey, this is my Dream 100 list. Do you know anybody here? And that now gets attached to every single email you send. And that gives you the ability to now have inbound people coming to you instead of you constantly asking or pushing and doing that. I would still recommend sharing this list around everywhere else, because why not? Put it in your email to your, a group of people that know, like, and trust you. Also put it on social, share it around. But the point is, if you want to automate this stuff, this is the way to do it. So to recap, the Dream 100 strategy, very simple. Get a Google based email. If you're using one already, awesome. Now get a Google Sheet. And in that sheet, put a little explanation on top that says what this sheet is and what you want people to do, and then list the names. It's literally that simple. And if you want to copy the sheet, but don't copy the names, be your own names, go to hustleandflowchart.com/dream100. You can see mine. It's a work in progress. And that's the thing. These things are living documents. So this is something you can use for years, and I hope you do. And start now, the last piece is to start sharing it. So put it in your email signature and prompt people to go to the sheet. And again, it could say something like, this is my Dream 100. Do you know anybody? And simple as that, you're going to get that intrigue. You're going to get people wanting to click, introduce you to their friends, their network. They're going to start thinking of connections for you because you're sending emails. You're sending emails to people that know, like, and trust you primarily. And that's how you get this ball moving. So I want to see you try this out. And again, target the people who your perfect avatar are. Know that if you have a virtual stage like a podcast, it's way more valuable. But if you don't, that's okay too. There's all these other ways that you can have your own virtual stage. Any online communities, workshops you do, masterminds, different things that you can invite people to your own virtual stage. Those are just as valuable as well. But obviously on the podcast front, if you want to start that, I'll give you an invitation one more time. If you go to hustleandflowchart.com/accelerator, that gets you in the door. I'm doing a 90-day sprint. It's also paired with the mastermind for this kind of round. And you definitely want to check that out because this will get your show off the ground quickly, or at least help you scale one. If you go to hustleandflowchart.com/accelerator, I would love to have you in there. It's a small group. And if you're too late, then I'm sorry, but there's probably a little waiting list form on there. So plug your name and email address in there. I definitely think that having your own show, it gives you this control. It's your own media. It's your ability now to have this virtual stage so you can get connected to anyone that you want. Literally, this is the strategy to do it. And you're doing it with intention. And especially if you already have a business, then now you have intention. You can get connected to anyone you want with this Dream 100 strategy. And now know that this is just the start of the journey, and you could take them to the next step where you can do other things in business. You can collaborate a little deeper from, like what I was saying, getting more media presence, going guesting on their virtual stage, also getting shout outs, becoming affiliate partners of each other. Lots of fun stuff. So go try it out for yourself. And I can't wait to hear back from you. Give me a shout, joe@hustleandflowchart.com. I love to read your emails. I know the folks that send stuff in, I love to engage and see what you guys are doing. So let me know if this strategy works for you. Share your sheet with me too. So again, joe@hustleandflowchart.com. Send me a message and go join the accelerator, hustleandflowchart.com/accelerator. If you're ready to jump in and do this, I teach a whole bunch of other strategies. This is just that one foundational strategy that really sets everything in motion. So I'll catch you next time. Thank you for watching, listening. See ya. All right. That's what I got for you today. And remember, it's not all about living to work. It's all about working to live, if you need to do the work. But work can be fun, and it should be fueling for your life. So if you enjoyed what you just heard, if you got some nuggets of wisdom that you want to share, or you're just noodling on right now, please go tell others. The way that people find this show and how you can help others get their aha moments is through word of mouth. So if it is telling your friend, telling your family, send an email to your list, writing a review, or whatever it might be, everything helps. So thank you so much for listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast, and I will see you next time.